Okay, so hi Pedro. Um, so we are already a few minutes past from the time. Do you think is that there anyone else from your side, Pedro, from Solstack that is going to join today?
No, I don't think so. It's too early for the rest of the team.
Okay, then yeah, I would say that we can just start. So yeah, welcome everyone. We don't have any new participant here, so um, yeah, since last month, I hope that you, well, for those of you that uh, yeah, took vacations, I hope you have enjoyed them. So if not, then yeah, let's see if next time. So yeah, so I'm a particular case. I just arrived also for a few weeks off, so I'm just still getting up to date in different things. So yeah, let's just take a look at what we have here. Let me just pick to the usual board, but I think there is nothing new from last time. The chat window here. Okay. So yeah, there is nothing else new. Yeah, I don't think it makes sense to go again through all of them. So yeah, we already reviewed them a few times. We already know, all of us, the tasks that are there and the goals that we will focus in case that that we have time. But yeah, it seems that not much progress so far. Um, so yeah, is there anything from you, Pedro, on the Solstack core team? Any announcement or something, some improvement or something on your side regarding to testing and release?
Yes. Um, on the upcoming 1 or 2 weeks, we are finally switching to PyTest. I pasted a link for a preview of a blog post that we will be making public.
I'm not sure, but I think that got interrupted somehow.
Yeah, I also lost Pedro.
Pedro, are you still here?
Just after he pasted the link, right?
Yeah.
Let's wait. Maybe he will reconnect eventually.
Maybe the internet connection overheated.
Okay, there is this blog post. Let me just open it.
Okay, how much did you get?
Hey.
Hey. Well, basically up until you were posting the link.
Okay. So that's just a rough draft of the public announcement of us switching to PyTest that we will be making public on the next week, 2 weeks tops. And that's when we finally switch to PyTest. That's about the news that I have at the moment.
Nice.
Great news. I was taking a look at the blog post. So yeah, a long journey.
Actually, it's actually almost 4 years instead of 3 because the commit was made in 2006, although it was only submitted to the salt repo in 2017. But let's be accurate. 3 years is bad enough.
Okay, it's really nice to wrote this blog post. Definitely worth to read. Thank you for that.
Yeah, if you see anything that you think could change on that, feel free to speak. That's not the final version of it. I still have to go through it a couple of times and add some more examples and stuff like that. But that's like the rough draft of what's going public.
Okay, this has a so now that once the switch is done, this is going to have a direct impact in how we should run the test, right? From that moment
Yes.
on. There is already the documentation. Do you already have the PyTest documentation somewhere, or is it something that works?
So most of the testing documentation will have to be rewritten. There's a small how to start on the salt documentation, and that has been updated for PyTest and Knox. But almost all of the testing documentation will have to be at the bare minimum adjusted, but most likely rewritten.
Okay. This is definitely some other place where the community testing group could also help into refining and enhance the documentation to with all the PyTest stuff that's coming.
Yeah, for sure.
Taking some notes. Okay, that's great. Yeah, beside of that, Jochen, Alice, do you have something on your side? Some topic that you would like to discuss today? Yeah.
Nope, nothing from my side.
I'm not thinking either.
Yeah, I do not have anything else also on my side. There is something that I would like to discuss, but I think it's outside the context of the testing group. So yeah, it's about the module.run deprecation. Yeah, so it seems that there is some interest from the community to push this wrapper we did and we have in Uni for managing the old syntax that is deprecated now. But yeah, maybe our idea is to just create an issue and have some discussion into the upstream issue, and if necessary, yeah.
Sorry, which syntax?
Yeah, you know that on the module.run state, there is a change on the syntax for in Sodium.
Yeah, but that's not going to be deprecated.
Finally, not. Or?
So no. So probably we still have references in the code about the deprecation. But internally we evaluated it and it would break people's states. So since it got in and we didn't do a good job on reflecting on the amount of changes that would cause, we will have to support both going forward, which is
okay, so are you
not ideal.
Yeah, please.
Which is not ideal, but we are definitely not deprecating the old way, and we will not be deprecating the old way in favor of the new way.
Okay.
So how do you want to solve that?
We will support both. There's a flag, which at least this is what I'm recalling from our previous discussion here at SaltStack. We will have a flag so that you can state what kind of syntax you want to use, and Salt will work with whatever syntax you define. I don't think we will be trying to detect what's being used.
Okay, is this going to be a global flag so that you can only use one or the other?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is because we just cannot take the new syntax out because it got in. It should, I'm not saying that it shouldn't have gotten in, but we either figure a way to use the new syntax without breaking the old states,
Yeah.
or we will supporting both behind a flag.
Okay. Yeah, then, but yeah, I still think that we should discuss this in issue because
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, we will be creating the issue so we can bring the discussion there. If we solve the situation in Uni by introducing this wrapper because we thought that the deprecation was going to happen. But in any case, since there is a few ways we could solve this to avoid breaking the current state that are already created by customers. Yeah, let's just bring the discussion into an issue, so we can everyone can just go there and collaborate into the discussion, I think.
Yeah, and we can make public why we are not deprecating and what's the path going forward, and maybe someone can come up with an idea that we can support both without a flag, but I doubt. Unless your wrapper tries to do some kind of detection and support both things, and maybe that's a way for us to support both. But who knows? Yes, let's discuss that on an issue.
Okay, then yeah, we will create that one with let you know that you are aware, so you can also jam into it. Okay, yeah, what else? I don't have anything else here on my notes for today's discussion. So yeah, if there is nothing else to discuss, then I would say that we can just wrap up the meeting. Yeah, wait until the next one.
All right. And for once, we can say, have a nice evening. And that's when Wayne joins.
Yeah, most of us are past the afternoon or on the afternoon. So yes, that's accurate.
We cannot say that because Wayne just arrived just now.
Yeah.
Wayne is here? Okay, so I have to say good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, morning.
Damn, Wayne, we were about to say good evening, but you showed up. Now we have to say good day. Sorry, we're kidding. But you're arriving late. We are just about to wrap up the meeting.
Yeah.
Unless you have something, Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So we were just.
Oh, actually, I can ask Wayne. So the past meeting, I mentioned the testing clinics, and Wayne is the one driving those. And maybe Wayne can talk a little about how that's going and how we can probably cooperate between the testing clinics and the testing working group.
Yeah, sure. They are going fairly well. Definitely more attendance is welcome and appreciated. Basically, the goal behind the testing clinics is to help contributors to SALT, especially new contributors or inexperienced contributors, to be able to write tests, meaningful tests. I can think of one code review I did in particular where I was reviewing the PR, came with some tests, and I checked it out. And the tests were supposed to, the PR was fixing some bug. And I reverted all the code changes and just left the tests, and I ran the tests, and they passed. It's like, wait a minute, these tests aren't actually telling us anything. So basically helping contributors avoid that sort of issue. And so that's kind of what I do. And so if nobody has questions or nobody has any whatever, then I'll just go through and talk through my process as I add tests to any of the tests or any of the PRs that have the needs test case label, especially the port to master ones that we're working through. So that's kind of my fallback, but the much more, I think, effective and useful thing to do is, if somebody's got a PR or they want to make a contribution, but they're just not sure how to add tests, absolutely encourage them to come to a test clinic. I can help them get started. I can, write 2 or 3 tests, so that they've got a pattern that they can follow. Or if somebody wants to make a contribution, but they're not sure, like they just have questions about a test, I'm absolutely more than happy to either like do a code review, especially focusing on tests and making sure that they're like meaningful and useful tests. And so, basically that. So if you're talking to anybody and they're like, oh yeah, I'm writing this, but I'm not sure how to test, or if somebody's new to contributing to SALT, encourage them to come to the test clinic. We've got somebody who attended yesterday and I think Thursday as well, who's finding a lot of value in the test clinic. And it's, just the more the merrier. So that's, I guess, high level. Lately, I have been focused on using PyTest. I know we're not completely over to using PyTest within SALT, but I figure most of the changes that I'm working with right now aren't going to be merged until after we end up making the cut over to PyTest. Plus, I figure actually writing tests in a more PyTest style will help drive the PyTest adoption as well. Any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns?
So that, for me, this is a really great thing, so the testing clinic. Do you have a web page or something where we can point people, or just to, quickly point people to that testing clinic, or where they can find more information about that? And we can also put it into the testing board.
Yeah, so it's on the community calendar. That's one place. But I usually just point them to the schedule on our Twitch stream. I don't know if you've actually been to that page yet. And I can grab that link or drop out of my computer at the moment. But so I can get you a link to that. But basically, that's where I point people to, is just the schedule. That way, because right now I do it in the afternoon Central Time on Tuesday, and then in the morning Central Time on Thursday. That way, I'm trying to spread the love, as it were, so we could get as many people being able to attend as possible. So I do it like 2 in the afternoon on Tuesday and then 10 in the morning on Thursday. But again, that's Central Time, so much different for European folks. So I just point them to it's twitch.tv/saltstack-inc/schedule, I believe. Is the URL. Yeah. So if you just point people to that and say, hey, this will tell you when the test clinic is, because it has the schedule on there, and one of the, if they're looking for the test clinic, they can find it on there. Yeah, that's the link.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool. You could finally teach me how to write proper tests.
It's super fun. Also interesting, just from my perspective, because I'm also learning both tests, and then kind of, a lot of this stuff has been in my head for years, but I've never actually had to explain it to people. And so the process of explaining why I'm doing what I'm doing has really helped open my eyes. I'm like, oh, that's why I'm doing that. Or, oh, maybe I could do that a little bit better. And then in some cases, like just yesterday, we discovered a very bizarre issue. And I'm still not sure why in the world it behaves this way. But I don't know if you use mock much, but mock, by default, you can use like a magic mock, and then whatever you throw at it, it's like, oh yeah, there's those attributes, that function exists, those arguments are totally valid. But you can do auto spec on it, and then it will freeze things a little bit tighter. So if you look up an attribute that doesn't exist, or you try and use arguments that aren't in that function, then it'll be like, oh, no, you can't do that. Until, and this worked every single time until I tried to show off an example using os.listders, and it doesn't actually appear to autospec. So it's like, oh, well, that's fun. Is this an issue with mock, or am I just doing something wrong? And yeah, I mean, like I went and ran down a little rabbit hole and like double checked. No, autospec definitely does do things with everything else, but for some reason, os.lister, it just goes sideways. And even the help function on lister just says, oh yeah, one path. It's like, huh, all right, cool. Well, apparently when you mock lister, you have to be careful because you can't auto spec effectively. So I learned a thing.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Might it be because these days os.listdir is doing some C-level stuff, or calling some C-level stuff, and that's why it might not be working?
That's my only theory. Is that it's that, and it can't introspect it correctly, or the introspection kind of goes off sideways. But and I haven't actually like looked at the code definition to see like, oh, is there something different than what shows up on help? But like, yeah, it was very bizarre. It's like, huh, that's not doing what I expected. But it's good to know, because then it's something more effective, and in the future it's like, oh yeah, I already know this. I just spent 20 minutes running down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like it can't. I'm not sure what PyTest is using without, or mock is using with autospec, but using this, I can't see what list is doing. So it says it doesn't know how to disassemble built-in function or method objects. So maybe that's
Interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting, and also very good to know, because then it's like, okay, if you're gonna mock these things, just be aware that autospec doesn't work the way you think it's gonna work.
Okay.
Just one question. Since this is on Twitch, this is probably recorded, right?
Yes, right. Yeah, I can access the streams.
Yeah, as far as I understand, it automatically records, and then for like a week or two, the recordings are available, and then they just disappear into the ether. I know it is possible to use something like YouTube DL to download the Twitch videos to make them more long-lived. And we've discussed a couple of things around that, because I know some of the things that we've done on Twitch, we've thought about keeping around longer, like the open hour and whatnot. But yeah, we don't have at least if your question was around them being available long-term, we don't currently have a good plan or thoughts around that.
Yeah, no, I think 2 weeks should be enough. Cool. Thanks.
Okay. Is there any more question?
Yeah, I do have one thing for Wayne specifically. So I have one pull request open that I'm not sure what the best approach for testing is, like integration tests or more unit test style approach. Should I just ping you in the pull request, or should I wait for the test clinic and then?
Yeah, no,
It's tomorrow,
absolutely.
5 o'clock CEST.
Yeah, 2 p.m. Central Time. I don't know what that is locally for you. Or sorry, 10 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. But yeah, you can just, if you ping me on the PR, that should get it to me, or also just message me in like the develop channel on Slack, or even on IRC. Any of those approaches, just, and then I can take a look. I may look at it and say, yeah, let's discuss it during the test clinic. But at least that way I know which one to take a look at.
Okay.
But yeah, I would be more than happy to take a look. Sometimes that's a question that I have myself. As a matter of fact, yesterday, that was one of the things I was bugging Pedro about late at night. It was because I was going to take the unit test approach, but I was starting down that path, and I was just like, this is really dumb as a unit test. I don't like this. It's like, hey, can we do functional tests yet? Because that would be perfect in this scenario. So I've actually started doing the functional tests within PyTest. So starting to explore that process. So it's pretty straightforward. There's some other issues, but yeah, it's very nice to have that option open, because I could still run my full unit and functional test suite in like a couple of seconds, rather than, a minute and a half to spin up the master and minion, run the integration test, and tear it all down again. But yeah, no, just ping me that PR, and I will be happy to take a look.
Okay, great. I'll ping you and send you the URL in Slack or something like that.
Sounds good. Perfect.
Okay. So if there is no more questions, then I would say that we can just wrap up. So yeah, have a really nice day, everyone. See you in 1 month. And maybe in the meanwhile, we will attend some of the testing clinic that are going to happen. So thank you, guys.
Sounds good.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.